my thing about this is Charlie Kirk used to say, when people stop talking, bad things happen, right? And he actually lived that out. He gave his life for that principle, that he wanted to continue to speak in places that aren't used to hearing the truth that he communicated. And that's why I accepted this invitation at the City Club.
Well, we need to tell the people what's going on here at CCV. This has been something that came really out of nowhere and involves a speaking engagement that you agreed to, Aaron, under really no other pretenses than somebody asked you to come speak, thought it was a good opportunity, and we're happy to do it. And then all of a sudden, the party of love and tolerance decides that you're just going to be a hate monger, and they want to cancel the appearance. And this is really dusted up in a hurry.
Well, let's always remember, first and foremost, only one of us has ever been kicked out of a church before.
I'm going to tell you one more time.
And that is not me. So
Can we also note then that there has been no controversy around any of my speeches?
If
we're going to go there,
when you're speaking, if a speech happens in Knox County and no one hears it, is it actually a speech? I'm just saying
there are plenty of farm animals.
That's good.
I'm gonna clean all that up when he's not here next time.
Anyway, this was one like really out of left field. I think a lot of folks have probably heard of the City Club in Cleveland, right? The City Club is one of these civic-minded groups that hosts like community discussions. There's the Metropolitan Club here in Columbus that we've spoken at before, and the City Club is the one in Cleveland that all the politicians go through and all that kind of stuff. We'd never really interacted with them much, and a couple of months ago, I think it was during the summertime, maybe early fall. They reached out to us to see if we'd want to speak, if I'd want to come and speak, and it was just in the middle of you mentioned Summit.
We had a few things going on this fall.
Yeah, craziness. But once we got through all that, we were finally able to connect. And honestly, the head of the group, a guy named Dan Moulthrop, super nice guy. Certainly, even just in our conversation, I could tell wasn't aligned with CCV, but not hostile, just nice guy, and his job is to host community conversations. And so we had a great conversation. Honestly, we probably talked for half hour, 45 minutes. He was asking me about my faith and what we do and all this kind of stuff, and then said, hey, we'd like to have you come and I'd interview you on stage just like we did right now, and you could take some questions. And I said, great. And honestly, this is the kind of thing we get lots of these requests into CCV every week, right? And said, sure, we'll do it. Didn't really think much of it. And then what was it? Like right before Thanksgiving, a story came out in Axios about how the City Club was hosting a hate group. And that was an interesting one too. And this is where I give credit to, I should say first, I had a lot of frustrations with the City Club, but then credit to Dan on how they handled it. Apparently this LGBT group called them and said, hey, how can you have these guys? And said, did you know they're a hate group? And they pushed them to add to my bio on the website that the SPLC is called as a hate group. And I was like, man, that's not cool. Like, you don't treat company that way. Like, right? Like, you don't invite someone in and have them come and be willing to come, ask me to come. And I said, sure. And then they throw that on my bio. So I called them up and I said, hey guys, that's ridiculous. Like, I asked, do you know who the SPLC is? And they, well, sort of, yeah. And I was like, okay, the SPLC is a hack political organization, right?
Another activist group, basically.
Right. I said, like, if you had the head of Planned Parenthood come and speak, you wouldn't put in their bio that CCV has called Planned Parenthood baby killers, right? Like, but we do call them baby killers because they are baby killers. And he was like, oh, I understand. I said, well, and I'd like to ask you to take it out, but if you won't take it out, at least add in something in there like, hey, okay, here's one group that says they're a hate group, and then these people say they're great. And so they did that, right? I sent them a quote that Heritage had said about us, and they added that in there, right? So that I said, okay, I'll still come speak. We'll go forward with this thing, whatever. And then there was what just happened. And you can tell them about that one, Mike. Yeah.
Basically, over the weekend, got word that there is a petition now
petition
circulating to either cancel or modify your appearance because we can't have just one viewpoint.
A whole hate.
Oh, yeah. But this is the same group that just a couple weeks ago or a month or so ago had the stage at the City Club all to themselves.
Had Pride in Progress or whatever it was called.
Exactly.
And all to themselves. And nobody was saying, hey, where's the other side? No, listen, if you're having a community forum, give them the stage.
So we see this petition come through, it starts circulating online, and we naturally sound the alarm because this is now a free speech issue.
Right.
This is just, there was no political tie to this event specifically. It was just an opportunity for people to come and engage with the ideas and conversation that you were going to have with Dan, and they want to stop it.
Right. And they sent a letter of like 100 groups to that said they shouldn't have us speak and they should cancel the event. And apparently, like who knows by the time this posts, the City Club board has met on all of these things and now is getting pressured to cancel the event. And again, it's what are they afraid of? That's the thing I can't wrap my mind around.
Yeah, it's just an opportunity to hear from another side that you don't normally hear from, especially at a venue like the City Club.
An opposing narrative. And so Dave Yost has leaned in since then, right? That's a new piece. Which he generally will do, but I was shocked that he leaned on this one. But he was absolutely right. Calling the SPLC on the fact that they're just saying, hey, what you consider hate is just disagreement.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you're calling hate is just a Christian Orthodox view, right? And this was my thing with the City Club on this one, guys, is the City Club and sort of the elite corporate thinkers in a lot of our big cities, they are so isolated from the rest of the world oftentimes, right? Like they've got to look around at a state like Ohio and see, hey, Ohio has elected Trump by wide majorities multiple times, right? Mike DeWine signs the heartbeat bill and wins by 20 plus points in his reelection in 2022. Right? Like there is huge momentum. Bernie Moreno is the most conservative senator we've ever had in Ohio, right? John Husted is a strong conservative. And these groups, however, groups like the City Club broadly, but more particularly these LGBT groups, they are so hostile towards this conservative worldview, right? There needs to be a question asked of, why are you guys so disconnected? And that was what I'm really hoping I can come and bring in this conversation is, hey guys, like there's a whole group of people here you're ignoring, right?
Well, 70% of the state,
right,
on this particular issue.
Oh, on the LGBT stuff, right? Yeah, exactly. And it's not hate to say boys shouldn't play in girls' sports. And actually, it's ideologically stupid, not just ideologically, scientifically stupid to say men can get pregnant, right? And that's the kind of thing that very few people are willing to go into these spaces and have this conversation. And it's because of stuff like this, right? Because when you speak out, the threat to being canceled is so great, right? And what groups like these LGBT groups hope is that if they can get the City Club to cancel me, other people will be afraid to speak out. Right? There are corporate leaders all over the city of Cleveland and all over the state and country that agree with us on these things, right? And they have been more and more willing to speak out over those last few years. And yet these LGBT groups are still running the same playbook because they know if the City Club lets me speak, there are other people all over the country and all over the city that are going to start speaking out as well.
This event is, fast approaching. So at what point is the City Club going to make a decision as to what they're going to do?
I got no idea. Honestly, by the time this podcast posts, something could have already happened. Yeah. We're recording on a Wednesday. Podcast is going up on a Friday. Like, who knows what could happen? This is why I was so grateful for Dave Yost sending this letter to them. Again, it's not a legal letter, right? This is not Dave Yost.
No threats behind
No threats or anything like that. Just Dave Yost is somebody who cares about free speech. And my thing about this is Charlie Kirk used to say, when people stop talking, bad things happen. Right. And he actually lived that out. He gave his life for that principle, that he wanted to continue to speak in places that aren't used to hearing the truth that he communicated. And that's why I accepted this invitation at the City Club, was that, yeah, I know most of these folks aren't going to agree with us. But when people stop talking, when Christians stop going into places that we're typically not found in, that's when dangerous things happen. And we know that there are more people, one, that agree with us, but also, two, we actually have way more in common with folks than people realize. And so that opportunity to be able to go into a place like the City Club, go into one of these spaces, and really reason and communicate and say, hey guys, listen, we're really not that far off, at least with most folks, right? Is what I was really looking forward to, and I hope we can still do.
Yeah, and their tactics are so targeted to try and, I think, silence Christians specifically.
Yeah.
Because when you hear that word hate thrown around, you've said before on the podcast, Aaron, when we talked about the SPLC with Tyler O'Neill, and we'll link to that podcast in the show notes to understand more about why they're doing what they are with their hate map. That is something that Christians don't want to be associated with.
Right.
So they will pull back and say, well, no, that's too far. I don't want that. So I'm not going to do anything that gets me too close to that edge. It removes us from the debate. But then there's the other thing of, when you do have people who are willing to speak out with that hate label, like, that word means something, and it's part of the uptick in violence that we've seen against speech that you disagree with, because it's not actually hate.
Right.
Affirmation equals love and healing. Disagreement equals hate and harm. That's the number one narrative that I think is really causing a lot of Christians to sit down and not speak up.
Yeah, well, and honestly, Mike, we joke about David getting kicked out of a church. I'm referring to the whole Crossroads incident. But when all of that happened, just to your point, Crossroads cited the Southern Poverty Law Center when they scraped David from the website. Right? They said, "Oh, sorry, we didn't realize this was a hate group," and that's just, again, it's a very clever move by the Southern Poverty Law Center, a great fundraiser for them, and a great bully tactic that they've used to silence dissent. But it's also the reason why we can't cave to these situations, right? We have to continue to press into them. And again, I got to say, even since this story came out, and then since Dave published his letter, seeing people like Senator Bernie Moreno, seeing people like Hugh Hewitt and Tyler O'Neill jump into this fray with us is so important, because the City Club needs to see that people want to have this honest conversation. Don't let a handful of LGBT groups and the Cleveland Aquatic Club. I don't understand why the Cleveland Aquatic Club.
I didn't know that was a part of this.
They signed on to the letter too. I don't know what we did.
Hey, send me the letter
to the
I'm
Aquatic
signing
Club.
on. If the Aquatic Club is down, I'm down.
They are offended by me coming to speak. I'm sorry, Aquatic Club, for whatever I did. The rest of you guys, I understand why you don't like us.
That changes
Near
everything.
and dear to your heart.
But the Aquatic Club, oh goodness me, you guys, my
Can you actually
apologies.
swim in Cleveland water? Like,
Oh
is that
gosh,
even
you know what? If you'll come out with a third eye, that's the right. That's getting in the Cuyahoga.
Well, if I can get us back on track here just a little bit, for our listeners and friends who are wondering, what they can do to support us in this moment, first and foremost, pray.
Yeah.
Like, we believe that is a first resort.
Yep.
It is always our first response here at CCV. So please pray with us over this situation. As you said, Aaron, right now we don't know what the outcome could be. So pray.
Yep.
Pray for the event. Pray that it happens. You can get tickets to the event.
No, come.
and support Aaron.
Exactly. No, we'd love to see you there. Like, again, I want the City Club to see people want to hear these conversations. They want to hear differing opinions, right? And that's what we're going to be bringing. And again, I actually think, even just in my conversation with Dan Moulthrop, Dan is no conservative Christian. Actually, I think he's a Jewish guy. So there's things that we disagree on, like even just in our conversation on policy issues and worldview and religion and faith. But super pleasant guy, nice guy. And I think when we get into these conversations, folks will see, hey, there's actually a lot of things we agree on. There certainly will be things that we disagree about, right? There's things I disagree with my wife on, right? Not everybody is in perfect lock sync with their spouse, as David is.
Love you, babe.
Well, that's because he has to be.
That's right.
True.
But it is a big opportunity.